It is album review time for Michael by Killer Mike. I don't really know where to begin. This is an incredible album. Incredible album. I'm very, very happy I sat down with it. I kind of knew going into it that I would enjoy it. I was hoping so. And I talked about this during the reaction, where he is in his life in terms of his age, being married, having kids, etc., and making it easier for me to kind of slip into this album and experience, I guess, not his entire point of view, because there's a lot of things he's talking about in this album that I obviously cannot connect with. But I just like the fact that this is an artist who is later in his life and talking about the things that he's focused on at this point in his life rather than somebody who's in their 20s, etc. And I was hoping for, anticipating some sort of, kind of raw, open album. And instead, I feel like we got so much more. So much more. As I've gone through and listened to this, and my notes are just scattered because it seems like every time I listen to it, something new pops into my head. I remember about a year ago during Additional Thoughts, or I guess it was my first album review, maybe, I don't know. I mentioned an album and how the downside of the album and what it was doing was we wouldn't really see its effects until later. The album, of course, being Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers and everything that Kendrick did in that album and said in that album, and how he just put himself out there completely, right? And for somebody like him, as big as he is at the point of the career that he's at, to come out and say all these things that he said is incredible. And I was always curious, okay, how is that ripple going to go out into the future, into other artists? How's that going to inspire other people to say what they want to say, And not to say that Killer Mike was necessarily directly inspired by that album. I know he's been doing interviews lately. I haven't had a chance to watch any of them. But there's got to be a part of him that went, holy shit, if Kendrick can do that, then I can do this. And I don't feel like this album, Michael, is inspired by Kendrick Lamar, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. But I do think there was an element of, okay, yeah, I can do this. And maybe I'm talking out my ass here. Maybe Killer Mike is the type of person who's not worried about it at all. I mean, that's one of the great lines in, I think, Talking Shit, right? Ain't no... Fuck, I don't remember. Of course, now that I'm recording, right, I'll just memory wipe, right? Something about how there ain't no gimmicks, so there's no image to protect type of a thing. He just is him. There's no bullshit. There's no persona. There's nothing that he's trying to portray carefully and curate and make it look a certain way. No, he is him. But you get into some of these elements of this album, talking about Motherless obviously is an incredible song, and I feel badly for my initial reaction on that because I just didn't click with me, and a big part of that was my own bullshit, because honestly, I'm not that close with my mom, and so, I just didn't connect. But watching the music video and the scene where he transitions from this riverside service and he walks into the booth and starts singing the song, incredible. And then the fact that they left in the music video just audio of him in the booth, not the recorded version, just him in the booth with no, you don't really hear the backing track. It's incredible, and you can hear the pain, you can feel the heartache. It just makes it so real, so good, so open, so raw, so honest. It's very, very powerful, in my opinion. Very powerful. So I feel badly for what I initially said. I know I apologize for the reaction, but I still want to reinforce that apology, I suppose. And what's so neat about this album is as you go track to track, verse to verse, almost bar for bar, you get this wonderful mosaic effect. Think of a 1,000-piece puzzle, right? And here's a piece, and here's a piece, and here's a piece, and here's a piece, and here's a piece. As you go from, shed tears, where he's essentially celebrating and thanking God because he made it, and there's against all the odds, he should have never made it. And talking about, what was it? Oh God, now I'm getting everything all mixed up. Going from that to, in there talking about, being, was it that one or Motherless, being born to a teenage mom. And then you jump over to Slumber and he's talking about how when he was a teenager and his girlfriend had an abortion, and you take those two things and how they can relate to each other in your own mind, right? Here he made it coming from that position. But what if it was different? What if it would have been his mother that made the decision that they made at that age? You got Talking Shit, where that's exactly that. He's talking shit. And then you've got Something for Junkies, where he's, his aunt is talking about how you must really love me because you still treat me like a human being, even though I'm a junkie. You've got the boldness that comes with it. You've got the heartache. Oh, that was what I was going to say. The shed tears, crying out, celebrating God and cheering and celebrating that he made it. And then dropping into Motherless, where he's calling out to God and he can't even form the words, doesn't even know what to say because there's just this hole in his heart because his mom is gone. It's just all these little things that go back and forth, these elements. And what I love about it is so open and raw and incredible, and it does create this wonderful picture of who Killer Mike is. And it's for me, I get so excited about it because it's someone embracing the self. This is Killer Mike telling all of us who he is, and that's it. He doesn't have to apologize for it. He's not trying to explain anything away. He's not trying to hide from things. He's not trying to deny anything. And obviously this is not his entire life in one album, but I think you guys understand what I'm saying. And to me, this is important because there's been a couple portions in this album where he's talking about he made it, mama, and now he's a leader, mama. In my opinion, he is leading because we always talk about leading by example. And this is such a wonderful example, in my opinion, of how to embrace the self. Nobody's perfect. We all have flaws. We have things that break our hearts, like losing your mother. We have regrets, like possibly the abortion that happened 30 years ago in his past. We talk shit. We're proud. We're bold. We're anxious. We're depressed. We're all of these things. All of them. And you can't run from them. You can't hide from them. You can't wish them away. They just simply are. And while it's true we can take some of the edges off, self-improvement's a real thing and it's a positive thing and we should work towards improving ourselves in certain areas. The idea, and this is what I love about Run, in that opening section with Dave Chappelle, the whole thing about being a black person is like storming the beach in Normandy, you just got to keep running. And he goes into, maybe you're scared, maybe you're not good enough, you're not perfect, but nobody asked you to be perfect. Nobody's asking anybody to be perfect because we can't and we aren't and we never will be. And that's what I love about this album. It is the display of a person who is just in his later life. Well, not later life. I think he's like 48 or something. I looked it up. He's looking back at his whole life and kind of taking stock and realizing where he did well, where he came up short, what he's happy about, what he's sad about. And it's all done so well with fucking great flow, great rhymes, great production, great features. Shout out to Erin Allen Kane. Wonderful fucking vocals. Love her. Love her. She's fantastic. Fucking Andre 3000's on here, scientist and engineer. His verse is so cool, the way it's like digital and in with the production and stuff, the way he does his rhyming scheme. It's fucking amazing. I think Exit 9 is my favorite track. I love the chorus on that one. I love the chorus. We rise, we fall. Even with our backs to the wall. Oh, let me slide over my thing real quick. I find a way to maintain. Oh, I forgot the opening line. Let's bring out the champagne, roll up an airplane. Life is a rare thing. And I feel like that's a great summary for what Killer Mike is doing on this album. He's just kind of looking back at his life and going, holy shit, man. Holy shit. I can't believe through the thick and through the thin, this is where I am now. It's great. I love it. I really do love it. And I feel like, I should admit my own bias towards it because I can look at it and there are some parallels that I can connect with. Obviously not all of them. I talked about that at the end of the reaction to how, there's a lot of stuff in this album that is specific to being a black person in America. I will obviously never understand those things. And so I'm not trying to, connect with that because I can't. And there you go. The only concern I have with this album is I feel like people are sleeping on it. I can kind of get a general pulse for an album and how popular it is based off of the views a reaction will get. And, it got some views and that's cool. Obviously, not everybody has to like it, obviously. But everybody should at least listen to it because fuck, man. It's so good. So good. What else do I want to say? I think that's kind of it. I mean, it's really hard to kind of encapsulate all of my thoughts because every time I put it on again, I feel like there's another piece of that puzzle that goes into the mosaic and I just see a little bit more. I feel like so many of these lines and so many of these songs and verses are all just linked together in this great little way. It's subtle. I don't even think it's intentional, constantly intentional. I think it's just Killer Mike legit taking stock of who he is. It's fantastic. Loved it. Really did love it. And I guess that's it. There you go. Tomorrow will be for the foreseeable future, the final Buwog, the final Bob's Underground Artist Gauntlet. It'll be week 3, so it's going to be the head-to-head stream, which is always fun. And then that will conclude that channel feature for quite some time. I made a video on it, so if you want an explanation, there's a video you can watch on that. And then Friday, I believe, is going to be Acid Rap by chance. I don't think there's anything new dropping this Friday, so that's the next one in the queue. Look forward to hearing that. That'll be fun. I know it just had the 10th anniversary, so it'll be cool to check out. And yeah, I guess that's it. Take care, y'all. We'll see you soon.